Good evening. Welcome to the June 5th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pat, if you would call the roll.
Councilman Will, Councilman here, Councilman Romano, Councilman Waller,
Here, I entertain a motion to approve town board meeting minutes of May 8th and May 15th. So moved. Second by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowitz. Discussion.
Councilman Waller.
Yes, indeed. Abstain.
Councilman Stander. Yes. Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Waller. Yes.
Yes, communications and announcements. Just had one thing here about the Clifton Park Senior Community Center. I do want to thank Sherwin-Williams. They completed the painting of the inside of the center, so we have fresh paint on the inside. We had a nice picture on the front page of the latest newsletter. They had a couple dozen folks, and they got all the work done in one day. They donated the paint as well as the manpower, and it's a special antimicrobial paint that, yeah, you know that. It's used in health facilities and hospitals, and so it's actually a little more expensive than your regular paint, but they were nice enough to donate to that to the center, so I do want to thank them very much. A couple of other things in our new newsletter. For June, we have a free CPR training class coming up on the 22nd, and that is going to be free. Thank you to CDPHP. CDPHP is the largest sponsor of programs at the center, and we thank them for all their support. There's a new paint and pastries class coming up this month. That'll be free as well. We also, today we had a swing band concert in the packed room, so that was nice. And we also have our defensive driving course, the next segment coming up in July. So thank you, Bev Zub, for your help with that. So a lot of new programs at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center each month that the town has been operating the center since we assumed operational responsibility. We've been adding programs and activities for the members, so a lot of good things coming up at the center. Speaking of the center, first, let me first say, are there any communications or announcements? Yes, please stand up.
I just wanted to announce that the Green Committee is sponsoring a Solarized meeting, two of them actually, one tomorrow at the library at 10 a.m. and one here at Town Hall on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock to learn more about solar opportunities. So if you want more information after the meeting, please come speak with me about it. Also, the information is on our website, and we hope that folks can make those two meetings. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. First on our busy agenda tonight, we have a book sale at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center twice a year, and we just had the last sale in the spring.
I think up there.
And it takes a Herculean effort by a large group of volunteers in conjunction working with the town and a couple of different departments to make it happen. And we just wanted to pause tonight and thank and honor the volunteers that make it happen. So Pat, if you could read the resolution, please.
This is resolution number 138 of 2017, a resolution honoring volunteers from the Clifton Park Senior Community Center book sale. Whereas the Clifton Park Community Center holds 2 book sales each year, with proceeds from the book sale supporting the programs and operations of the facility. And whereas books are accepted for donation throughout the year for the book sale, and a group of volunteers reviews the books that are donated to ensure condition and content make them suitable for the book sale, and then books are categorized and stored for the next sale. And whereas for each book sale, thousands of books are removed from boxes and carefully organized for sale, and unsold books are placed in boxes and stored for the next sale. And whereas the last book sale held in the spring of 2017 generated $1,500 for the Clifton Park Senior Community Center, now therefore be resolved that the town board honors and appreciates the many volunteers that make the book sale possible, led by Barbara Fingar and Maureen Casagrande. And be further resolved that the town board also honors Barbara Fingar for her 30th year of volunteering on behalf of the seniors in our community.
I'll move that we approve the resolution with a second by the board.
Councilman Lewin?
Yes.
Councilman Stanton?
Yes.
Councilman Mah?
Yes.
Councilman Marlowe?
Yes.
Supervisor Cooper?
Yes, all right. So we do have several of the ladies here tonight. Now Barb, why don't you come up, please? Barb's gonna give a speech. No, I'm only kidding. No, you don't have to speak, you just need to stand up here, yeah. You gotta meet me halfway, Barb, come on. This is politics, it's all about compromise. So I do want to thank Barb for her many years of service on behalf of the town and the seniors in the town. She was actually a 2002 recipient of the key to the town of Clifton Park as well, which she forgot to wear, but that's okay. Come next week. Don't wear you. So we also have some of the other ladies that are here. I'd love for you to come up, please, and be recognized. Now, just to give you an idea, we take thousands of books in a year that are donated to the center. So all the books are reviewed to make sure they're okay to sell. This is a family facility after all, and that the condition is also suitable makes the book suitable for sale. So somebody has to go through all the books. Then they have to be categorized by drama or family or fixer-up or whatever the category might be. So all that has to be done. Then they have to be boxed up. Then they have to be stored. And our buildings and grounds employees certainly help with a lot of the carting of the books from different areas in the center. But all the actual work to review the books and categorize them and get them ready for the sale twice a year is all done by the volunteers. And then at the end of the sale, after we've sold a few thousand books, there's always a lot of books that are still remaining. So the volunteers go into action for about an hour and a half, boxing up the books, again making sure they stay in certain categories. All the books are marked per the category, and then they're stored for the next sale, which will be in the fall. So you can imagine the amount of work that takes, and this past sale netted $1,500 for the facility. So what does that do? Well, that helps us pay for improvements, helps defray the cost of programs, and also as a taxpayer-funded facility, relieves some of that pressure from the taxpayers as well. So the money means a lot to the center as far as what we're able to offer and some of the things we're able to do. So ladies, I just wanted, if you could just nice and loudly say your name to make sure that you're recognized, I'd appreciate it. Starting with
Barb Fingar.
Barb Fingar.
Sharon Roman.
Faye Del Marico. Lindsay Novak.
Kay Bayan.
Betty Yolanda. Terry Clifford.
Maureen Casagrande.
Sandy Harrington.
Very good. And Bev.
I came down to these days.
Well, you do.
She works.
Nobody volunteers more than Bev at the senior center, so God bless you.
No, I honor them.
And you made brownies today for the concert.
I've been for years, work hard. And I think the day before, I think is the worst day. It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the big room at the center, it's filled with long tables, and each long table is filled with books. So there's a few thousand books there. And so, like I said, I explained all the steps, and it's a lot of work. But ladies, thank you so much. We very much appreciate your hard work and persistence. And, we'll do it again in the fall, right?
August 19th.
August 19th. Oh, yeah, summertime, actually. Yeah. hopefully it'll feel like summer by then. But summertime, August 19th, so mark that on your calendar. You get a real nice book for $1, right? Good stuff. All right, why don't we move this way and we'll get a picture? Picture for the newsletter, yeah. Come on over. We might have to double up here a little bit. It's okay. Half and half. Half and half.
We don't want to cut you out. I love it this way. Cheers.
Very good. So again, thank you so much, ladies, for all your hard work. We also do No, thanks is all ours.
Well, enjoy the rest of the evening.
You too.
Thanks again, ladies. How were the brownies today, Jeff? Good made brownies today. Okay, we have 3 Eagle Scout resolutions. Tom Holtzman, his ceremony is actually tonight at 7 o'clock. So his ceremony is right now. I'm going to try to catch it on the way home. Here with us this evening is Connor Coleman and Joshua Lacey. But we could read those resolutions for these young men and have them come up and talk a little bit about their project.
Resolution number 139 of 2017, a resolution recognizing Thomas William Holtzman as the rank of Eagle Scout and service to the community. Whereas Thomas successfully completed his Eagle Scout project by clearing a new trail and overlook area at the Bishop Ferry Preserve, and whereas Thomas had moved through the ranks of Boy Scouts, earning 21 merit badges and demonstrated leadership within Troop 6, and whereas he conceived an Eagle Scout project to provide a view of the Mohawk River in the Bishop Ferry Preserve, and whereas Thomas's project involved organizing the efforts of a group of fellow scouts and volunteers to clear a new trail, plant grass seed and wildflowers, and install a park bench at the newly created overlook. And whereas Thomas's initiative, energy, and motivation to give back to his community will serve to prepare him for a meaningful, productive role in society. And whereas he also solicited donations and organized a bottle drive to raise funds for the entire project. And whereas such service is truly the lifeblood of the community, and the town board wishes to recognize effective community service among our residents and volunteers, now therefore resolved that the town board honors the accomplishments of Thomas William Holtzman as an outstanding citizen for his achievements and advances, and recognizes him as the community's newest Eagle Scout, and be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Thomas Holtzman.
I move that we approve the resolution with a second by the town board.
Councilman Nolan? Yes. Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Ahmad?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, and we'll have Thomas at a future meeting, and I'll try to catch him tonight on the way home. Please.
Resolution number 140 of 2017, a resolution recognizing Connor Colvin for attaining the rank of Eagle Scout and service to his community. Whereas Connor successfully completed his Eagle Scout project by constructing a play area at the Elks Lodge on McElroy Road, and whereas Connor joined the Boy Scouts in 2010 has earned merit badges and demonstrated leadership within Troop 246, and whereas he conceived an Eagle Scout project to construct a play set and pull-up bars for the children at the Elks Lodge, and whereas Connor's project involved organizing the efforts of a group of fellow scouts and volunteers to plan and construct a play set, and whereas Connor's initiative, energy, and motivation to give back to his community will serve to prepare him for a meaningful, productive role in society, and whereas the spirit of volunteerism, which Connor's project represents, has consistently benefited the community, and the town board wishes to recognize effective community service among our residents and volunteers, Now, if it resolved that the Clifton Park Town Board honors the accomplishments of Connor Colvin as an outstanding citizen for his achievements and advances, and recognizes Connor as the community's newest Eagle Scout. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Connor Colvin.
All right, Mr. Colvin is here, front and center, sir. How you doing tonight? Come on up and get nice and loud into the microphone if you could. So, Connor has a special, and Mom, you can get as close as you want, right up here. No? It won't be blocking anybody, that's okay. Connor has a special distinction. He was the first baby born in the year you were born. Is that correct? You were a Christmas baby? Okay, that's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about that. Do you believe that? Do you remember that? Everybody's talking. I'm trying to make a joke and everybody's talking. So I'm not sure I forget where I'm at. But that's a special thing. Your mom said you were the first Christmas baby of the year in the Capital District. He was on the news, you said, right? Yeah, fantastic. So, tell us a little bit about your Eagle Scout project.
At the Elks, I moved an existing playset into a new area where I laid down a border, reed barrier, and then a keystone. And I also built and installed pull-up bars for kids to use there for personal fitness moped.
Very nice, very nice. So now, we talk about this all the time when the Eagle Scouts come to meetings. The fact that you put in a great deal of time and effort, start as a young man, finish when you're at the age you're at now, you're a young adult or an adult. And all the time and effort that goes into it, all the help that you receive from your fellow scouts and your scout leaders, your mom and dad and your family. Tell us a little bit about everything that's gone into getting you to this point in conjunction with your hard work.
It takes a lot of organization, trying to get people to help at all times, but I wasn't always able to get people to help. I did a lot of it
Yeah.
and so I had my family there to help me, and they were the biggest contributing factors to it.
That's good. Say thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom.
There you go. All right. You get that on film? And as far as your future endeavors, you're taking physics, you're taking a course in welding, you're learning trades. You want to be an auto technician. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Tell us a little bit about that. Why the interest in that?
I like cars, and I'm not too good in like English history.
Yeah.
I'm fairly good at working on cars, and that's what I like to do.
So you like to get your hands dirty, your hands on
Hands
that. Well, I can tell you there's a lot of job opportunities for what you're pursuing, and learning the trade and getting involved in because nowadays people can't work on their cars like they used to. There's less and less really that you can do on your car, even if you do have the knowledge and the wherewithal to get it done. So we wanted to just take a couple of moments to congratulate you and thank you for this wonderful project that you completed at the Elks Club. I know that's something that will be valuable to them and the many people that visit the club for many, many years to come. And we're just very proud of what you've accomplished. God bless you. And let me know where you're going to be working. Because I'll need some work done on my car, I can tell you that much. Good luck to you. Thank you. All right. He's a bright young man with a very bright future, and as is Mr. Lacey. Fine young man and a great MC. I saw that twice in the last week. So, do you have Mr. Lacy's correct?
This is resolution number 141 of 2017, a resolution recognizing Joshua Lacey for attaining the rank of Eagle Scout of service to his community. Whereas Joshua successfully completed his Eagle Scout project by building a variety of sensory and motor equipment at the Helping Hands School in Clifton Park, and whereas Joshua joined Cub Scouts at the age of 7, has earned numerous merit badges and demonstrated leadership within Troop 45, has completed national youth leadership training, and led a 7-day backpacking trek at Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. And whereas he conceived an Eagle Scout project to provide equipment such as weighted shoulder and lap pads, an indoor balance board, beanbag toss games, and an outdoor balance beam at Helping Hands. And whereas Joshua's project involved organizing the efforts of a group of fellow scouts and volunteers to assemble, build, and install the equipment, and whereas Joshua's initiative, energy, and motivation to give back to his community will serve to prepare him for a meaningful, productive role in society, and whereas the people of the town of Clifton Park have benefited from the volunteer spirit which Joshua's project represents, and the town board wishes to recognize effective community service among our residents and volunteers, now therefore resolved that the Clifton Park Town Board honors the accomplishments of Joshua Lacey as an outstanding citizen for his achievements and advances, and recognizes Joshua as the community's newest Eagle Scout, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Joshua Lacey.
All right, I move that we approve it with a second by the board.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Sandor? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Walden? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, come on up, Mr. Lacy. How are we doing this evening? You've been doing a lot of speaking, public speaking lately, which is great.
Oh, yes.
So, tell us about, when you're a Boy Scout, you get to do a lot of cool things, right?
Yes.
So tell me about this trip that you took to New Mexico.
Oh, well, this was a 7-day trip that we took, and this required roughly 2 years of preparation.
Wow.
Lots of backpacking trips, also a very expensive trip, but the trip, the actual hiking part lasted about 5 days. The food that we carried, all the food was on our backs, so pretty much everything that we took with us, the tents, the food, pretty much everything that we needed, we had on our backs. And the packs that we wore weighed, well, some people's weighed up to 50, 60 pounds. Mine, fortunately, only weighed 30 pounds, but, well, that actually turned down to about 20 pounds at the end due to all the food that we ate. But we were certainly glad to get back after that and take a well-deserved shower.
Must have been hot, huh?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's cool, because you led that backpacking trip, too, right into Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. So that must have been a great experience, one you'll never forget, I'm sure.
Right, yes.
So tell us a little bit about your Eagle Scout project. You obviously made some improvements at a very important facility in the town of Clifton Park that serves many young children.
Yes. Well, this project was for Helping Hands Preschool, and they had lots of old equipment that needed replacement. So I decided to make a bunch of new equipment that they needed. Certain examples include a weighted shoulder pad, weighted lap pad, a beanbag toss board with 15 beanbags with that. And the big one was a 10-foot long balance beam that kind of zigzagged back and forth. And I was told that is having a profound impact on the occupational therapists there.
That's fantastic. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Now, that sounds like a big project. I mean, when you hear these Eagle Scout projects on a regular basis at town board meetings, these young men take on some very, very large and intricate projects. It's a lot of work, right? Fundraising, you have to organize the help that is needed to make it happen as well, right?
Yes. The biggest skill that really is required for these projects would be time management. The entire project took roughly 2 years from start to finish, with all the approvals, the fundraising, all the work that was required to finish it. So it certainly built my skills of time management that will certainly be needed for college.
Yes, you will use that through your whole life. And, that's another good point. You don't just think of a project and just do it. I mean, you have to write it up, it has to be approved by scouting committees regionally, right? I mean, there's a process to it.
Yeah, well, first it has to be approved by the scoutmaster, then it has to go to a committee, something similar to this one. Then it has to go to the guy who runs the district office, and then it obviously has to be approved by the beneficiary, which in this case was Helping Hands Preschool. And then after all that was done, then the project can finally begin. That process took a good 1 year to complete. That was actually half of the entire project right there.
Well, that's fantastic. So, and I know your dad is, oh, there he is. Your dad's a leader in the troop, right?
Yes.
And volunteers his time helping all the scouts in Troop 45, so thank you, Mr. Lacey. And I know your mom and dad have been a big part of your success, as well as your fellow scouts. Mr. Quinn's here. All right. Yep. He was at your, oh no, that was Patrick's. He was at your ceremony. Oh, you haven't had yours yet. So,
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, coming up. So, well, again, thanks for coming. We congratulate you on all your success. What about your future endeavors? What are you going to do?
I plan on studying mechanical engineering at the University of Buffalo.
Wow, fantastic. Good for you. How about a round of applause for... Mechanical engineer. I can probably spell that. Great. Good job. Congratulations, and we look for big things from you. I know you'll achieve a lot, and God bless you. So again, congratulate those two young men, and we have some other Eagle Scouts doing great things in the community, and we'll be honoring them as well soon. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Whalen, and we're going to talk history.
Great. Well, I'm going to introduce Nancy Kiyonaga, who's the chair this year of our Historic Preservation Commission. And while she comes up, I'm going to introduce some of our other members of our commission who are here today. We got John Shearer, who's our town historian, is here. Linda Seymour, I saw her walk in. We got Pauline Bain and Maureen O'Connor is here. Did I get everybody? Historic Preservation. It's really a pleasure to work with Historic Preservation. They do a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. In the last 3 years, I know we've added 9 properties to the register, which is a lot of work, a lot of volunteer hours put in, nights and weekends. Just last month, on an unscheduled meeting when we had the Historic Preservation Day and Open Space Day, we had a meeting to take care of some business. So certainly, while I was having fun with the kids at Disney World, well, most of the time, you guys are working hard, so I appreciate that. At that moment in time, I may have preferred to have been with you guys. What was going on at that moment, but again, thank you to the commission for all the work, the hard work that you do. We can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you enough for the hard work that you do. So, as often, it's great to honor people and businesses that have done great things to support historic preservation in town. And Nancy's going to speak about our award winners tonight.
Thank you. For over 20 years, the town of Clifton Park has given annual awards to recognize the homeowners, builders, and craftspeople who are committed to historic preservation and who have, through their hard work and preservation skills, saved and restored the town's older buildings. Through their efforts, Clifton Park is keeping its history alive. Restoration of older buildings isn't easy. The phrase, nothing is square, nothing is plumb, I've heard from one of the award winners. And nobody knows this better than our 2 award recipients. We're pleased to announce that the 2017 Historic Preservation Awards are being presented to the father and son team of Bonnie Builders and Mr. Nick Peterson. A little bit about Bonnie Builders. They've been in the building business for over 30 years. They have replicated older buildings in a way that not only saves historic properties, but which also maintains the integrity of an historic area of town. Most recently, the Bonnies rebuilt the George and Ida Kellogg House on Main Street in Jonesville. in a manner that is sympathetic to the other buildings in that very historic part of Clifton Park. They have undertaken the same level of architectural consideration in building in compatible styles when designing brand new buildings in other areas of town. And last but not least, they have worked actively and collegially with the town through its Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Peterson learned his trade in Germany during World War II. He came to Fisher Ferry in about 1965. Many of the early homes in the Fisher Ferry Historic District have benefited from his expert restoration and carpentry techniques. Buildings he has restored or worked on include the Fisher Ferry Schoolhouse, the Fisher Ferry General Store, the Fisher Homestead, Harmon Van Franken House, Shepherd Wheeler House, Brower Van Franken House, Betty Van Wart House, and many other homes in Fisher Ferry. He's also done restoration work on the Jonesville store. His ability to replicate historic moldings and his sympathetic repairs to period architecture were in great demand by those who own historic homes, both in Clifton Park and in neighboring towns.
Fantastic.
You have a copy of that, so you can just pass it to us, or?
I will send it out.
Okay. Well, with that, if we want to ask, I'll start with the Bonnies. Larry, Ryan, do you have anything, before we present you guys for plaque, do you have anything that you wanted to add in addition to that?
Yeah, talk about the project a little bit.
You become the official family spokesman. That's going to go for you. Public relations.
It's in his job description.
Yeah, I got a list of those. Yeah, we started this project with Tom helped us get it going, and it's a crafted historic house that just was let go, and we got into it, and my father did not want to get into it right away, and we decided that we'll take it on and see what we can do. I never restored a house at age, and I learned a lot. And it was just a fun project. I enjoyed it a lot. I guess.
Well, the final product is beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
and I guess you got some hands-on training then.
Yeah. The charm in the house is nice. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't duplicate that.
And it's so visible too.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Mr. Peterson, I know I've heard. Yes, I know I've heard. This is the first time I've had the pleasure of meeting you. But I know I've heard John Shearer speak about your handiwork for many years. So I'm glad that the commission has an
I
opportunity.
think I'm the only one who wasn't born in this country. Although I was born in Germany.
In Germany?
Yeah, in Germany, and of course I learned a trade there. The trade was from 1942 to 1945. And then I wanted to be an architect, and I couldn't get into the school. And finally, after a while, I came to this country. I know grandparents from mine, they were all in California. And okay, that was it. When you're 88, you lose it, you know. That's why I got to have a couple of notes.
48 too.
88. Well, wait, when you get 88.
Thought he was there.
Yeah, I went to the trade. So then I came to this country. I don't know why I came to Fisher's Ferry, but that was something else. And then I had a carpenter trade, and I did quite a bit of work there. And of course I bought a house too, eventually, although of course there was water from across the street. And then there was one faucet in a house, and the faucet over there was an outhouse. That's what that was, you know. And I remember there were 3 seats: small, middle, and large. And I remember.
It sounds as though you have a, what has become a rare skill. Is that fair to say?
Pardon me?
You have what has become a rare skill. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't know about that. Anyway, I got a couple more notes here. Well, I did additions on remodeling work in the Vicious Ferry. Well, I also worked in a town hall here.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Well, how long ago?
There was a cell here, and they stayed overnight.
Oh, yes, way
And
back.
then-
Yeah,
and
when the
then
state
there was
police
a-
were here.
And
Yeah.
then there was an, I don't know his name anymore.
Did you stay here?
This man, I think he was already retired. And he was always here. And of course, then he called me up. And he says they did some damage.
Huh?
Oh, well, okay. Then I came over here, and what else did I do here? Well, I don't know.
Well, we appreciate it. Maybe we'll have you back.
I wish when you people 88 of you will remember everything.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good.
It's an honor to have you.
Anyway, the town hall. I don't even know what I wrote here. Oh yeah, that's the last thing from the town hall.
Very good.
Oh, the town hall.
Yeah, that was a long time
I
ago.
know this guy, I don't know, remember his name. But he called me all the time. When he had,
Mr. Wood.
I thought he was 70 already then, but he came here all the time. And when there was a little thing to do, he called me.
Oh, very good.
Okay, that's my story.
Very good. You're sticking to it. Very good. Thank you, sir, very much for all your work on those many, many buildings.
Mr. Peterson, Larry, Ryan, if you want to come up and take a picture and present you with plaques.
Oh yeah. See, now this is your triumphant return to town hall. See? And we're not even going to keep you overnight. No, you can leave. You can leave whenever you want. Yeah, I think downstairs. Well, yeah. It's here. If you could come over here, sir. Mr. Peterson, God bless you.
So, for his many years of excellent workmanship and commitment to restoring historic buildings, we have this plaque from Mr. Peterson. And for the Bonnies, to Bonnie Builders, Inc., for its excellent workmanship and commitment to replicating historic homes. Thank you very much.
Again, just want to again thank everybody with the Historic Preservation Commission for all your hard work through the year, and to our award winners. God bless you, and don't take so long between visits to town hall now. So, we'll see you. Don't say we'll see you in another 40 years or anything, all right? Okay. Okay, next on the agenda tonight is a gentleman from Smart One. Almost sounded like I was back in Boston, Smart One. Greg Roya from Smart One. And so this, they asked Greg to come and give a presentation.
Here you go.
Certainly I told him he could talk about SmartWatt, which is a Clifton Park-based company, but also wanted to have this idea presented to the town board and interested parties. Back in 15, there was some legislation passed by the New York State Legislature, and since then some approval through New York State agencies that made this possibility feasible reality. And we had looked at this a few years ago, prior to that legislation being passed, and it really didn't seem to be take care, sir. Bye-bye now. Didn't seem to us to be a good step to take at that point, but because of the reasons I just mentioned, the playing field has changed. So again, Greg is here to talk about SmartWatt and also talk about this initiative and how we might proceed if we so choose. Mr. Roya.
How's everybody doing?
Good, you?
Good, good. So yeah, that's right. Back in 2015, legislation was introduced. It's called the Street Lighting Replacement and Savings Act. And the reason that legislation was introduced is because the state realized that municipalities are paying very large maintenance costs on your street lighting bill. So typically, that accounts for about 50 to 80% of your bill. One example is on your itemized breakdown of maintenance costs, a concrete foundation may cost you $18 a month. So utilities are charging these large fees, making a large revenue. So the state introduced it, really forcing the utilities to give up the asset, because when you purchase it back, you're cutting that cost immediately. Now, your future maintenance cost doesn't disappear. There is still some ongoing cost. But I'll explain to you how that works. So real quick, SmartWatt, we are headquartered off exit 10. I don't know if it's technically Clifton Park.
Oh, it's
pretty darn close. So here's kind of a map of where SmartWatt is.
Also, it is 12019, so that's where
It is.
people get confused.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is Clifton Park.
Yeah. So we're headquartered there. The company started back in 2002, small company, and we've, as you can see, grown pretty large. We are a federal, it's called IDIQ, ESPC contractor. You're probably like, what the heck is that? It's basically the highest distinguished that you can get from the federal government for energy projects. So there's, I think we're the only non-Fortune 500 company on that list, so that's pretty special for us. Just a couple projects we've completed. We do a lot of county and municipal work in the area. We have done a pretty significant project with Saratoga County. Here's just a couple others that we've worked with. So this street lighting legislation that was introduced sounds great. It's like, okay, yeah, we can buy our street lighting back, but how do you pay for it? So what we offer is basically a packaged approach through an energy performance contract. That's a different set of legislation that was introduced in '97. And basically the way it works, I'll fast forward just a little bit, is the energy savings that's generated by doing a project like this self-fund, it's basically a self-funding mechanism. So if you have a $100,000 capital expenditure that you fund every budget cycle for your utility bills, by doing a project like this, it may drop down to, let's say, $60,000 a year. The savings, the $40,000 that's left over, goes to pay for the project. So in this example, you're left with basically a $30,000 lease payment to pay for the improvements, and you've got a $10,000 positive cash. So you've done your upgrades, but you're also generating a positive cash flow. Once the lease payment drops off, you're left with the full $40,000 positive cash. Now, these are not typically subject to a bond. They can be, Typically, the way they're funded is through a tax-free municipal lease. That is, by nature, an off-balance sheet financing mechanism. So what's nice is you're not raising taxes, because it's coming from an already budgeted fund. It's really just a self-funding mechanism until that payment drops off. Then it equals real taxpayer dollars back to your taxpayers.
You know, Greg, off balance sheet. That sounds, that's kind of like saying we have back channels with other organizations. That sounds very nefarious, but I understand what you're saying. So basically, we buy back the street lights from National Grid and NYSEG. There's financing involved that would be executed through SmartWatt or another company. And the savings come from two things, if I'm not mistaken. One is we're no longer paying National Grid or NYSEG for these structures, right?
Right.
And plus LED.
You're not paying them maintenance.
Right.
You are still paying for the energy, and there is what they call a pole attachment fee.
Yeah.
So because you're just buying the fixture and the mast arm that attach to the pole, utility always owns and maintains that pole. Since you're not, you're taking over the system, you do have to rent space on the pole. It's very nominal.
Well, we're not paying the kind of money that you were talking about for
Right.
ongoing maintenance, and maintenance which doesn't happen too often, right? I mean, how often do they replace a pole?
Yeah.
And that's where that equates to their ability to make some money on this arrangement as it currently stands, right?
Exactly. So an LED fixture has a rated useful life of 26 to 30 years, and it comes with a 10-year warranty. So the maintenance is pretty minimal. We do carry a maintenance program, as an option, but that's almost like an insurance policy. So if somebody, knocks out a bunch of fixtures or poles, and you can't find them, and you can't, attach it to your insurance claim, stuff like that would be covered. If a tornado rips down one of your streets and takes, several lines down and damages the fixtures, that would be covered. So this cash flow or table kind of gives you a breakdown, just kind of an idea. So this is for the town of Oswego project that we're going to be installing later this summer. Similar size, they've got probably about 80 more lights than the town of Clifton Park. So I thought this might be a good example to show you. So the total project investment is about $559,000. They've got a year one energy savings of about $21,000, and then their maintenance cost savings is about $55,000. They opted to do an all-inclusive maintenance package, so that is going to cost the town about $12,000 a month, but it comes out of the energy savings. So they're left over with, the delta between the two. Interest rate right now is pretty good through a lease compared to a bond, and the rates typically are all-inclusive, so you don't have to pay bond counsel fees and things like that. But just to kind of show you how it breaks down, on this slide it's really tough to read. You might want to look at your handout, but I think what's important to show is once the lease drops off at year 9, year 10, the town is going to really start generating cash flow. And if you fast forward to year 20, I can't even see what it is. If you fast forward to year 20, they will have generated about $350,000 in positive cash, which also equates to $350,000 you're not going to be paying utilities. They've got a much cleaner, more evenly distributed lighting system, a safer environment for the town, and they made $350,000, after 20 years. And then the system is rated for 30.
So when you say that the town would be, I want to make sure we don't lose anybody. When you say the town would be buying the poles, we're basically just responsible for the arm, correct?
Right.
You get the pole, and we'd be responsible for the arm and the light.
Exactly.
So all of the street lights would be would have LED lights installed in them right away. And that's where the energy savings comes from.
Right.
And when you also talked about annual maintenance savings, that's the money we're no longer paying to National Grid or NICEAG in those
Right.
costs that you were referring to.
So
And,
the 60 grand a year that you pay for the 10 visits a year goes away.
right,
So,
yeah.
being sarcastic, but it's probably not too far off.
Okay, good.
So that's how it works. And really, the next steps from here is we are putting together a preliminary feasibility assessment to show you what your system's going to look like. It'll have all these cash flows. It'll have a detailed breakdown of scope, all that stuff. From there, we'll set up a meeting with Phil and we'll go over everything. And if it makes sense, the next step is to run a request for qualifications for companies similar to us. And then the board will decide who it makes sense to award the project to.
Yeah, what Greg's referring to there is, and Tom has done some research, there would be a procurement process involved. So we would go through an RFQ or an RFP process before anyone was selected. What have you seen, Greg? Because there's really two components. There's the feasibility study and the financial side of things, and there's a lot of companies that can do that. But then there's fewer companies, although still a decent amount, that can do both the financial segment and as well as the ongoing maintenance. Do you find that typically when these RFPs are released by municipalities that the RFP includes both ends of the equation, financial and maintenance?
Yeah, typically always, if you're going to be doing it for a performance contract. Otherwise, you've got to basically raise the capital through your budget cycle and then pay for it, by raising.
So you want everything
taxes.
included in the same proposal, right?
Right. Yeah, because,
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, you can raise taxes and pay for it, or have it self-fund through your already budgeted expenditure.
Off balance.
So,
Yeah, well, that certainly makes more. It also reduces the amount of players you're dealing with as well.
It does. There's probably about 6 companies in the area that would respond to something like this. Obviously, we're the most qualified. But there's 6 qualified companies that would
Yeah.
probably be interested in looking at
Yeah, and that's a good number. I think if you can get 6 companies to bid on something, you're probably getting a very competitive number.
this.
Are there any? Yeah, I know. 1 second. I know Mr. Romano, our resident expert, in a lot of things, but certainly in things involving utilities. You had a good question, Jim. You asked about the, when we're purchasing these things, the depreciation. Because we're buying old stuff. What does that factor into this at all? Like some of those arms might be 10, 20 years old.
It does. So part of the process is when when you select a company to do it, we immediately go out and do an inventory and GIS map your entire system out. From there, we submit a buyback proposal from National Grid and NICEAG. And then it's basically going to be the depreciated value of the current assets. And then there's also another line item they slap in here called administrative and other fees. So all those costs are accounted for. It's usually about 40 to 50% of the overall project cost.
Now, is there a redesign of the lighting system?
There is. So after we plot everything out, we do light level readings, look at pole heights, things like that, and then we do a photometric layout of the new system so that we can, what we're trying to avoid is you've got these high pressure sodium, yellow, dingy looking lights that are hot and cold all over the place. The idea with LED is we try to evenly distribute it so that you've got one continuous light pattern across the road and you're not, and you get better visibility while you're driving, and it's just a much safer, cleaner, nicer looking system.
And what about pole styles? Because there are going to be some instances where there are pole-only streetlights. I mean, if we wanted to change some of those out.
Pole, like decorative, you mean?
Yeah, decorative lights,
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah.
kinds of things.
So, you could, it just brings the cost up, but it certainly could be done.
It's an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions for Greg at this point?
About how long would the process take to replace? I'm aware of the number of streetlights in town, but how long would that process take?
Yeah, so the number, I think it's just a little over 500, 520, I believe. But from today, once we generate that PFA report, it takes about a year, 8 months until construction time, and then to complete everything, you're probably talking about a 3-month construction period.
Now, there's also, it does take a little time, once a company is awarded this job, because it does have to go through some steps, obviously with National Grid or NYSEG, and then with the state too, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, so once you've agreed on the buyback number from both utilities, then it goes to the Public Service Commission for final approval. The PSC could take anywhere from 90 to 180 days. So it all depends on the volume of applications they have going in. Our sources tell us that the states, because of this legislation, they're putting pressure on the PSC to turn them around quickly, because they're starting to get applications in now.
Still
hopefully
pretty
it's on
early.
the lower end.
Yeah, it's still pretty early. I think
Yeah.
we're still on the forefront.
Yeah, but I can tell you, we've got 4 that are going in the next few weeks.
Good.
So,
Well, we don't want to be your
Probably.
first. We don't want to be any company's first go round.
I don't blame you.
You know,
Things have gone really smooth though. The whole process, we've got it kind of down to a science now, and it's been a pretty good process working with utilities and the different agencies.
Good.
There's no credit. The attachment fee, is that a fixed fee?
Yeah, 60 cents per pole per month, basically. For the amount we have.
I have a question about some of your, I think in your handout, you referred to the first bidding document as an RFP.
Right.
Wouldn't an RFP process be a little broader? You have a few additional moving parts for a proposal.
So you could do an RFP, it's going to have costing and things like this. The problem is we don't know what the final buyback is. So if you put a limitation in the RFP, say within 10% plus or minus, and the utility comes back triple what the buyback is, everybody's disqualified at that point. So that's why RFQ is our recommendation. I mean, we respond to an RFP, but it just makes it really tough to meet any requirement that you're including for a plus or minus percentage.
plus or minus referring to.
So if we responded and said, okay, the system's going to be $600,000, based on $200,000 of that being the buyback from the utility. Now, what you could do is just the base price without the utility. That's an option. But then if you do just that, and the utility comes back much higher, the project's going to be cash flow. Because banks aren't going to finance these deals over 10 years. So, there's components to it, that have to be included to make sure it works. Because if you have a bunch of companies responding and trying to get to work with you, and it doesn't even make sense, then.
No, you're saying if it didn't make sense based on certain things that we might put into an RFP, is that what you mean?
I think where we're going to solve that problem is by that PFA document. We've got enough buyback numbers, we're going to have a pretty good idea what it looks like.
Okay.
I guess if there was, if you did want to see the buyback number included as part of the RFP, because some companies may mark that up. That may be something you want to see in your RFP. What is the cost for the system to be, when we buy it back? But if you have a requirement in there that says you must be within plus or minus 10% of your final project, and the buyback comes back 600,000, you're way off that 10%.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But we would respond either way. It seems like an easier. I know that's kind of been the preferred model for these types of projects. Not by us, but everybody uses
I would think that most of the product that's out there is going to be pretty similar. The price of most of these communities, depending on the age and stuff out there, unless it's
If you specify you mean the buyback?
the buyback piece. I mean,
So So the more decorative stuff you have,
Oh, yeah, that's expensive.
that goes way up.
And the more newer stuff is higher cost, obviously. It was
Right.
installed just recently.
Yeah, that's the big wild card is, what's the age of the majority of these systems? 30 years old, or did you have half of it replaced 10 years ago? That's gonna really skew the numbers.
Always have a question on the back end. In terms of the look and feel of the LEDs that are proposed, you do what, photo sims or you do something
Yeah, so
to show what that's gonna look like?
Yeah, so the way we design it through photometrics is called. It basically allows us to insert the exact fixture that we're specifying on your street that we basically designed in the system. And we can show you what the light pattern is, what the lumen outflow, what the foot candles are, at car level, walking level, if it's on the sidewalk. And then we can show you what the system is going to look like. Now, a concern that has come up is with the color temperature of the LEDs. The American Medical Association came out with a report saying that if it's too blue, it can disrupt sleep patterns. So, that's the last thing you want is your residents up all night and cranky about the new tree lighting system. So, RPI basically came out with a rebuttal to that that said anything under, I believe it's 3,700 Kelvin, eliminates that issue. So that's basically all we specify now on this project, is a lower color temperature. It's gonna be similar to this color right here. It's probably about 35 or 41.
Great. Any other questions for Greg? Yeah.
Sort of, I don't know if you can answer, sort of a contrarian type question. I mean, if I'm the utilities and I'm looking at this,
Yeah,
a drop in revenue,
yeah.
why don't, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, so maybe Jim can like on this, why don't the utilities just reach out to municipalities if they're interested and say, we'll drop your cost X number of dollars, and that way, don't worry about going through the whole process, the whole cost, we'll just drop your cost. What's the key, National Grid or NICE saying? So contacting us and just kind of doing the exact same thing.
So I'm shocked that they haven't approached you yet, because they do have programs. So, the program they offer is to basically upgrade you to LED. You stay with them, their maintenance program, but it's your facilities fees, they call them, actually go up, because they need to recoup the cost of that new system somehow. And then on the energy side, you do save some. So on average, you'll probably save about 3 to 12% by staying with them through that program. Whereas this is going to save you somewhere between 55 and 75%. And you own the system, and you never have to worry about waiting 3 months for maintenance going forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept and definitely worth pursuing, I think, at this point.
So one thing I can tell you is because of the lost revenue associated with this, utilities have already filed, National Grid, for instance, has already filed with the PSC for a 23% increase. So that's going to be coming to all of us. So as well take some of that back.
Yeah. Very good. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Greg. This is very informative. I think it gives the board a little more insight as to what the process will be and all the things that we need to consider before we make a move, but we'll definitely keep in touch.
Okay, yeah, and I'll reach out to you as soon as that report's done. We can go over that and get more copies.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye now. All right, we do have several more resolutions on the agenda, Pat. If you could read through those, please.
A resolution pursuant to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution sending a home rule message in support of legislation authorizing the conveyance of real property from the county of Saratoga to the town of Clifton Park. Whereas in 1938, the county of Saratoga, pursuant to New York State County Law, Section 219, acquired title to tax parcel 265.2-9 on Kings Road in the town of Clifton Park through the county's tax foreclosure process by deed recorded in the Saratoga County Clerk's Office in Book 41 of Deeds at page 495. And whereas pursuant to Resolution number 76 of 1940, the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors approved the recommendation of Reforestation Committee to dedicate a use potential parcel for reforestation purposes. And whereas the County of Saratoga has utilized and managed the Kings Road parcel pursuant to New York State County Law, Section 219, and General Municipal Law, Section 72A since 1940, and whereas pursuant to Resolution Number 264 of 1976, Saratoga County Board of Supervisors authorized and directed the county's forestry department, subject to the approval of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, to create a recreational area upon the Kings Road parcel with certain improvements and recreational facilities authorized and designated the lands as recreation lands to open to the public for outdoor recreation. And whereas the Kings Road Park has been managed by the town since its designation as an outdoor recreation area and is heavily used by walkers, joggers, cross-country skiers, and ski teams, hikers, dog walkers, and others. And whereas by Resolution Number 47 of 2016, the Town Board authorized execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Saratoga, which provided for the transfer of title of the lands of Kings Road Park to the Town of Clifton Park pursuant to home rule legislation as necessary. And whereas pursuant to the Town Board Resolution Number 88 of 2016, this board requested home rule legislation authorizing the County of Saratoga to convey and the Town of Clifton Park to accept such a conveyance for the reforested lands for park purposes. And whereas while Senate Bill S7761 was passed by the New York State Senate, the Assembly requested that A 10411 be amended to include a modern legal description of the Kings Road parcel, which could not be obtained prior to the conclusion of the 2016 legislative session. And whereas by Resolution Number 40 of 2017, the Town Board retained Environmental Design Partnership to survey the property and to prepare a legal description of the Kings Road Park parcel, which survey dated March 29, 2017 is attached here too as Exhibit A. And whereas by Resolution Number 91 of 2017, the Town Board requested that legislation be reintroduced to authorize the County of Saratoga to convey the lands known as Kings Road Park, more particularly described in Exhibit B attached to the town for park purposes in perpetuity, and therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Clifton Park formally requests that the New York State Legislature enact legislation proposed as Bill Number Senate 5813-B in the State Senate and Assembly 7510-B in the State Assembly during this legislative session, authorizing the County of Saratoga to convey to the Town of Clifton Park reforested lands originally acquired by the county by deed dated June 30, 1938, and recorded in the Saratoga County Clerk's Office in Book Number 401 of Deeds at page 495, said lands more particularly described in Exhibit A attached for park purposes in perpetuity without compensation and without requirement for replacement property. A resolution authorizing the installation of a street light at the entrance of the Carlson Farm subdivision at the intersection of Moore Road and Carlson Way. Whereas the Carlson Farm subdivision was approved by resolution by the Clifton Park Planning Board on November 14, 2006, per the approved subdivision plan titled Carlson Farms. The owner applicant was Traycom Development. And whereas per the Town of Clifton Park subdivision of lands code section 179-28A, it shall also be the responsibility of the owner to provide appropriate street lighting at the intersection of the proposed street with an existing arterial street in accordance with Illuminating Engineering Society, Niagara Mohawk Power Company, and NYSEG requirements. And whereas the installation of the street light is warranted at this time, after quickly resolved, that authorization is hereby granted for the installation of the street light at the entrance to the Carlson Farm subdivision at the intersection of Moore Road and Carlson Way, and be further resolved that said street light shall be charged to the Clifton Park Land District Number 1, and that a copy of this authorization shall be forwarded to the National Grid Utility Company. Resolution adopting a local law 2017, amending section 208.22 of the town code to allow nursing homes in the TC4 zone. Whereas by local law 4 of 2015, the town board enacted town center zoning designations for the Exit 9 area, which provided for more flexible form-based zoning determinations within the Exit 9 area. And whereas by local law number 4 of 2015 also repealed planned development districts within the town center zone, including the former Leamington Geriatric PDD, which encompassed the Skylar Ridge Nursing Home. And whereas the town board wishes to restore the nursing home use as an allowed use within the TC4 zoning designation of the Exit 9 area. And whereas a public hearing was held on May 15, 2017 to solicit public comment on the proposal, that it was resolved that the town board hereby adopts a local law of 2017 amending section 208.2 of the town code by adding nursing homes as an allowed use within the TC4 designation on table 3-1 attached to as exhibit A. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a deed of easement to Ray and Elsa Kraus for the installation of a sewer lateral at 29 Oakwood Boulevard, Clifton Park. Whereas Roy and Elsa Cross at 29 Oakwood Boulevard, Clifton Park, seek to connect two public sewer available through the Crescent wastewater sewer facilities. And whereas accessing the sewer facility requires that the homeowner construct a lateral sewer line beneath the unpaved right-of-way of Oakwood Boulevard for a distance of approximately 450 feet as shown on Exhibit 1 and 2 attached. And whereas the homeowners have applied to the town for an easement to construct a lateral sewer line necessary for connection to the public sewer facilities available in their neighborhood. And whereas the town board supports the expansion of public sewers where feasible, now therefore be resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the attached deed of easement to Roy and Elsa Kraus to enable the construction and maintenance of a lateral sewer line as shown, contingent on approval by the town attorney as to form. Resolution awarding the bid for the Clifton Park Highway paving contract pursuant to General Municipal Law Section 103. Whereas bids for the Highway Department's 2017 paving contract were opened on May 19, 2017, and whereas Belsey Blacktop Paving, Troy, New York, submitted a bid for 6F grade asphalt at $49.32 per ton in place, and 7F grade asphalt, $49.72 per ton in place in response to the bid documents. And whereas Dan Ball, Highway Supervisor, recommends that the contract be awarded to Delsey North Blacktop Paving Inc. for New York as a low bidder, and whereas Delsey North has performed paving work for the town in the past and have demonstrated the qualifications and ability to perform the contract for which they bid, never could be resolved that the 2017 Clifton Park Highway bid is awarded to Delsey North Blacktop Paving Inc. for New York at $49.32 per ton in place for 6F grade asphalt, and $49.72 per ton in place for the 7F grade asphalt, per the bid documents and a successful responsive bid not to exceed $1,401,960 for the total contract price to be paid with funds as budgeted. A resolution authorizing the hiring of Brian Richard as a full-time security officer. Whereas a vacancy will exist for a full-time security officer for the town of Clifton Park, and whereas Brian D. Richard, Knott Road, Rexford, has successfully passed the civil service exam for the position of security officer, and whereas Louis Pasquarello, Safety and Security Director, has recommended that Brian Richard be hired to fill the position of the full-time security officer for the town of Clifton Park. Now therefore be resolved that Brian D. Richard, Knott Road, Rexford, is hereby appointed to the full-time position of security officer of the town of Clifton Park for civil service certification effective May 3rd, 2017, at a grade 5 step 1, $21.62 per hour, effective immediately, to be paid from the line security officer employee. A resolution authorizing the hiring of Patrick J. Culkin as a part-time security officer. Whereas a vacancy exists for a part-time security officer for the town of Clifton Park, and whereas Louis Pasquarello, Safety and Security Director, has recommended that Patrick Culkin, Wallflower Drive, Rexford, be hired to fill the position of the part-time security officer for the town of Clifton Park. Now therefore be resolved that Patrick J. Culkin is hereby appointed to the part-time position of security officer for the town of Clifton Park at a grade 5, step 1, $21.99 per hour, effective immediately, to be paid from the security officer employee line. A resolution authorizing the town board to hire assistant learning school directors at the Barney Road and Country North Pool for the 2017 summer. Whereas it is necessary that the learning swim program be led by trained WSI instructors as well as individuals familiar with the learning swim program to be managed and supervised by the learning swim director. And whereas Director David Chakowski, Clifton Park's Learn to Swim Director, has made the recommendation that Caitlin Rizzo and Brian Geary are qualified to fulfill the duties of Assistant Director at Barney Road and Country North Pool. And whereas the supervisor has recommended that the following individuals be hired as Assistant Directors at the below-mentioned pools at the following rates: Caitlin Rizzo, Barney Road; Hazeltine Lane, Clifton Park; Step 1, $18 an hour; Brian Geary, Country Knolls, St. Andrews Drive; Step 3, $19 an hour. Now therefore be it resolved that the individuals listed above shall be hired as assistant launch and swim directors for the 2016 launch swim program to be paid at the rate stated on the line item swim instructors. Resolution authorizing the hiring of a part-time seasonal laborer for the transfer station. Whereas an opening exists for a part-time seasonal laborer at the transfer station, and whereas Jeffrey Vetter has recommended that Brian Christopher Geary of Coventry Drive, Park, be hired to fill the position. Now therefore be resolved that authorization is hereby given to hire Brian Geary as a part-time seasonal laborer for the transfer station at $9 per hour, retroactive to May 17, 2017, to be budgeted from the line item. A resolution authorizing repairs to Field 12 on Clifton Common to replace and straighten posts. Whereas the Buildings and Grounds Department requested quotations for repairs to Field 12 on Clifton Common, and whereas Michael Hanahan, Director of Buildings and Grounds, recommends that ASCO fence Troy Schenectady Road Latham be authorized to make the repairs for an amount not to exceed $13,940. Now therefore be resolved that ASCO fence Latham be hired to repair Field 12 South Line, and be further resolved that authorization is hereby granted to the controller to transfer an amount not to exceed $13,940 from the committee fund balance to the budget line in that subject, and increasing appropriation and expenditures to budget by the same amount. A resolution approving a change order for the energy efficiency project at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center. Whereas Rise Engineering recommends approval of change order number 1 to the energy efficient contract, which was approved by the town board by resolution number 137 of 2017. And whereas the change order authorizes the replacement of 6 light fixtures which could not be retrofitted with new LED lights and ballasts. And whereas the cost of the change order are $315.85, which increases the monthly installment charge for the energy efficient program from $836.15 per month to $862.42 per month. That resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign change order number 1 attached in the amount of $215.85, and be further resolved that the controller is authorized to make appropriate transfers to fund the change order installments.
Okay, any questions on the resolution? Just applause, no question. All right, Pat, if you read the headings, and we'll consider each one individually.
Resolution number 142, 2017, a resolution pursuant to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution, sending a home rule message to in support of legislation authorizing the conveyance of real property in the county of Saratoga to the town of Clifton Park.
So moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Romano. We continue to work towards town ownership of Kings Road Park. It's been a lengthy process from the point of our initial disagreement with the county on how the property should be managed, to the negotiation of the intermunicipal agreement with the county, which I think is a very positive thing for the town and for the future of Kings Road Park and that land as a park. And as part of that intermunicipal agreement, the county would transfer ownership of Kings Road Park to the town. We've been managing it for years, so obviously we know how to do that. We've proven our ability there. So hopefully this legislative session will finally get approved by the Assembly, Senate, and signed by the governor. Last year, it did not get approved by the legislature because they wanted an updated survey, which we have since supplied. So, unless there's last-minute concerns brought forward by the legislature again, I would hope that it would be approved this legislative session. Any comments, questions?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlwood? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 143 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the installation of a streetlight at the entrance to the Carlson Farms subdivision at the intersection of Moe Road and Carlson Way.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Ms. Wallow. Anything to add here, John? We had the public hearing and did not have any comment.
Correct. The project is basically to install the street light at Carlson Farms, and it's shown on the original subdivision plat, and there was a street lamp on Toll Line Road. We did try to see, because that's in close proximity, if we light both intersections, but the determination was made that the second street light would be needed.
Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballwood?
Yes.
President Barrett?
Right.
Resolution number 144 of 2017, a resolution adopting local law number 1 of 2017 to amend section 208.22 of the town code to allow nursing homes in the TC4 zone.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. Now, let me ask you the same question on the
Sir.
right resolution.
I thought it was a trick question, actually.
Yeah.
So.
You're used to trick questions from me. All right, so what I said before.
Yes.
Now I have the right resolution.
Yes.
You started talking about streetlights. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Is the whole world crazy or just me? I don't know. All right, go ahead.
You're right, we did hold a public hearing, there were no comments. The TC4 zone is the location in which Skylar Ridge Nursing Home is currently located in. They became a pre-existing non-conforming use when we adopted our form-based code. They are looking to do an expansion at Skylar Ridge Nursing Home, currently a 120-bed facility. They'll remain 120 beds, but they're eliminating double occupancy room to go to single rooms for all the residents within that facility, to allow this to go forward without the need for a use variance, and recognizing that it's been established use that serves our community. The local law is to allow the nursing home to be included within the TC4 zone as a permitted use.
Yep, very good. Well said. Good job on the streetlights too, by the way. Big night for streetlights. All right, Pat.
Councilman Whalen? Councilman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballwood? Yes.
Yes.
Resolution number 145 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a deed of easement to Ray and Elsa Kraus for the installation of a sewer lateral at 29 Oakwood Boulevard.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Swallowitz. Questions, comments? Yes.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballwood? Yes. President.
Yes.
Resolution number 146 of 2017, a resolution awarding bid for the Clifton Park Highway paving contract pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103. So moved.
Moved by Mr. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. We had a robust bidding process, a lot of bidders this year. And anything to add here, Dan?
No, other than we're probably at the best prices at this season in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So it was a very good idea to invest a little bit more. We're going to get a lot of roads done this summer. And Del Sigmar came in with some pretty, very, very good prices, and there's a lot of municipalities around us that are going to be jealous. So we're looking good. I wish we could start a little earlier, but the rain is really setting us behind. Really.
Well, we do have 1.5 million appropriated, and with these prices, those dollars are going to go very far. And it's a very good combination, and we'll be able to complete more than we even thought we were going to be able to get done when we first put the list together. So I want to thank the Gazette, Cassie's here, thank the Gazette for posting that list in your Clifton Park, and it's done a great job covering the town. Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballwood? Yes. President.
Yes.
Resolution number 147 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the hiring of Brian Richard as a full-time security officer.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mr. Romano. We have two young men who are being hired this evening. We just received the brand new civil service list for the security position. And we have two very good candidates, one Brian Richard, one Pat Colton. Anything you want to add, Lou?
Now we've got John McDonough will be leaving here in a week. His wife has a job down in North Carolina, I believe it is. So Brian will be taking his spot, and we got Patrick will be coming on as a part-time person.
Very good. And it's good. They both scored very high on the civil service test. Typically, the people that are eligible on the list for us to hire have varying levels of experience and background, and both, in this case, both individuals are very qualified. We look forward to bringing them aboard. Okay?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Yes. Vice President?
Yes.
Resolution number 148 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the hiring of Patrick J. Calkins as part-time security officer.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Waller. I do want to commend Pat. He's here. Why don't you stand up there? I want to commend Pat for his stick-to-itiveness. He started coming to my office probably 3 years ago. Was that about 3 years ago, Pat?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, he'd walk in every so often just to say hi to me. And we got to know each other a little bit through that. I kept telling him, well, you got to wait for the next test. You're not on the list. And so he was sure to take the next test. And he scored very well. So 3 years later, here he is. So welcome aboard.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Vice President?
Yes.
Resolution number 149 of 2017, a resolution authorizing the town board to hire assistant road directors of the Barney Road and Country Road Pools for the 2000 summer season.
Moved by Mr. Whalen, second by Ms. Waller.
Councilman Whalen? Yes. Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Yes. Vice President?
Yes.
Resolution 150 of 2016, a resolution authorizing the hiring of part-time seasonal labor for the transfer station. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. So in these two resolutions, we have a Brian Geary and a Brian Diary. So not the same person. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Yes. Vice President?
Yes.
Resolution number 151 of 2017, a resolution authorizing repairs to Field 12 on the Cook Common to replace and straighten posts. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. This spring, I received a call from the president of the baseball league, wanting me to come over and take a look at one of the fields. It's the bigger field on the upper quad. You have the lower quad with for younger ages and the upper quad for the older ages. And over the winter, so they experienced some heaving with part of the outfield fence, and then the first baseline fencing, which happens over, that fencing's not young anymore. And so over time, it was coming up, I guess, a little bit, and this past winter it really came up out of the ground, and it's caused a concerning situation. Because as those posts come out of the ground, it also raises the fencing starts to curl, and it's a bad situation. So I took a look at it and decided it was something that needed to be fixed. The low bid was $14,000, and we're going to use money that we received from the cell tower on the common, on one of the baseball fields, to pay for it, if you approve it. Okay, comments? Okay, Pat?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Yes. Vice President?
Yes.
Resolution number 162 of 2017, a resolution approving a change order for the energy efficiency project at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center.
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mrs. Standard. This is the installation of new lighting and fixtures at the Clifton Park Senior Community Center. They actually started today. They're about half done. I received an email at about 4:30 this afternoon from Rise Engineering, who's contracted through National Grid, who offers this program, this incentive program. And he said they found something today where just on a few of the fixtures that required some additional work, so it required a change order of only $315, but we do need to approve change orders. So I'd like them done tomorrow. They can get done tomorrow. So I wanted to get this on the agenda tonight. So I'm sorry for the late addition, folks, but just received the email late this afternoon. So we'd be approving a change order on that project of $315. Good, discussion. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Rowland?
Yes.
Councilman Stengler?
Yes.
Councilman McDonald?
Yes.
Councilman Wallace? Yes. President.
Yes, like I say, what they've done so far is great. It's made a immediate difference. And like I said, hopefully they'll be done tomorrow. That is their goal. All right, any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Yes, sir.
My name's Alan Ross, and I'm located at 29 Zapata Drive in Greytown and Clifton Park.
Right.
And I'm just here because I'm not sure if you're aware of this situation. You may not be, but I wanted to express a concern about the amount that we're paying our lifeguards at the town pools. As you may or may not be aware, they get paid less than minimum wage. I understand that the town does have the right to pay below minimum wage. But you know, like my daughter's a lifeguard. This is her 4th consecutive year, and yet even after 4 consecutive years, she's still below minimum wage, which seems shocking when we have such expectations of them for the safety of our citizens, our families, our children, and yet we pay them less than minimum wage. And
what is she
other
making
people,
now? I'm just.
I honestly don't know.
Oh. Okay.
She gets a quarter
Yeah, she gets a raise every year.
25 cents each year, but it still puts her below minimum wage. And so here we are entrusting these students, teenagers, 10 people going to college, trying to pay for college, and yet we can't come up with the money. On top of that, you have an occupation where we have extra meetings at night that they have to go to for safety training, for certification. They have to pay for their certification. You have a career where it's very common for them to get sent home early. Yesterday, my daughter worked 1/3 of her time sent home because of the weather. And so they're already getting their hours cut by the weather and circumstances like that. You're already putting in extra time at night to fulfill all the safety standards that we have so that no one gets hurt at the pools. And yet we pay less than minimum wage. And it just blows my mind. I don't think the town's too broke to be able to pay for that. And just from a...
Okay.
I don't know. I don't see...
If we look at it that way for everything, we would be broke.
Yes. But at the same time, Supervisor Barrett, one of the things that I look at is that, you know, the services that the town puts on is the obligation of the town to provide those services, right? Right. And so what my point that I'm going to make is that, you know, that I really believe that the cost to facilitate a pool system for the town should be something that the town takes on as the obligation, and those that avail themselves of it. And I don't necessarily think that the lifeguards should be the ones that should be funding that expense.
Well, they're not funding that. They're getting paid. They're getting paid more than they've ever been paid.
Not true.
Not true.
No.
We've raised. Not everybody makes minimum wage. Although in the 4th year, they got to be pretty darn close. Matt, right? I mean, we'd have to look up where she's at. But
and it's not
we've
specific with my daughter.
We've been raising. So we haven't kept pace with the minimum wage.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, but we've been raising the salaries, both for counselors, lifeguards, WSIs, right down the line. So they're making more than they've ever made before.
With the town?
Yes.
Yes. Each year they do get a raise with the town.
No, but in addition to getting a raise every year, they're making more than they've ever made in those positions. It's not as if they were making $725 3 years ago and they're now making $750. That's not the case. They're well above that. So to say that we haven't raised the salaries of our counselors and lifeguards each year, in addition to the raise that they get, that would be incorrect, because we have.
Did I say that? I don't think I said
Well,
that.
you-
What I was saying was that I
you're
felt
saying,
that.
you're saying that somehow these kids, 16 in some instances, that are getting paid are somehow funding the operation of the pools. I don't understand that.
I got you where you're asking.
Yeah.
And my point is that, what I'm saying that, a lifeguard who are entrusting the lives and the safety of our citizens, our families and children,
Right.
I would think at least should be able to make minimum wage.
Was there any more was your daughter any better at $9.50 an hour than she was at $7.25? Is she a better lifeguard because she's making $9.50?
Not from the dollar amounts, from the experience. From being at pools for 4 years, yes. The dollars doesn't make you a better lifeguard.
Exactly. So she's not a better lifeguard because she's getting paid more than what she was.
Correct.
And she is getting paid quite a bit more than what she was when she started.
The dollar.
Okay.
Yeah, the dollar more.
No, I think it's more.
I thought it was 25 cents each year. I could be
Well,
wrong.
like I said, we've been increasing their salaries. Just because somebody picks some arbitrary number that all of a sudden, we had 16, 17-year-old kids that were perfectly fine, making $7.25 an hour and having a great summer job, and because some government somewhere picks this arbitrary number out of the air, then all of a sudden, all these jobs are worth a new number.
No, I understand.
So what we try to do is we haven't kept pace 100% with the raises in the minimum wage, nor are we trying to do that, because we have to balance everything. Now, the taxpayers could take on the additional cost of the operation. We could charge more for memberships. There's a lot of things we can do. But these kids are getting paid very fair rates for the job they're doing. Now, there's also a supply and demand factor as well. And when you look at has she taken the WSI class?
She's
Yeah.
WSI.
Well, she's got to be minimum wage. She's got to be over minimum wage. And she's taking
More than somebody else,
WSI.
she's not.
Because we really raised the WSIs quite a bit. Because what we did was we raised the regular lifeguards a much smaller amount than we raised the WSIs, because we really need WSIs. Unfortunately, there's still several kids we didn't hire this year because we didn't have a spot for them. But we need WSIs. Supply and demand dictates, well, they're going to get a bigger raise in the lifeguards because we need WSIs. We don't have enough. So as an extra incentive, we're paying them more on top of what they were making last year, plus their raise that they get every year.
And the reason I come here, again, is not to argue over it.
Well, I'm not arguing
no,
with it, but
my point though,
I just, to say that basically kids that are getting paid to do a job are somehow subsidizing the pools. I don't understand that logic. I'm sorry. I disagree.
And that's fine. We can disagree on that.
Yeah.
I feel that
They're getting paid. They're not subsidizing anything.
well, there's a point at which you say what's a fair salary. And for a lifeguard who's responsible for the life and safety of our citizens at the
And
pool.
they're getting paid very well.
And that's the definition, is what's getting paid very well.
They're getting, not only they're getting paid well, but they're based on historical salaries for that position. They are well above what that position has been paid historically. Now, because they say that somebody should be making $15 or whatever artificial number they want to pull out of the air for minimum wage, the standard should be what they're getting paid and what they've been paid historically for doing what they do. And I can tell you they're doing very well.
Okay.
And that's my view.
My reaction is this, based upon the surroundings as well. And when you look
Yeah,
at
but
the
the thing
surroundings,
is,
the
the thing is, what
rest of
the salaries that we're setting are based on reality. They're based on supply and demand for WSIs. They're based on supply and demand for lifeguards and counselors. They're based on historically what these kids have made before in the past and what they're making now. See, our rates are based on reality, not some artificial number made up by somebody in government.
right. The reality though changes because of what government does. Here's what the rest-
And we have changed. We have raised the salaries on top of the raises that they receive annually. Not keeping up with the minimum wage 100%, but keeping up with the minimum wage increases to some extent. And those minimum wage increases have been substantial. And we don't hire 10 lifeguards. We hire dozens of lifeguards, many camp counselors, and when we set salaries, and by the way, they get paid more than the camp drivers, the lifeguards, because we do feel there's a value to somebody that has gone through training, that has a higher level of responsibility in some respect. Our counselors are still very important in what they do. But, you know, at the pools, being a lifeguard is a little bit of an additional responsibility, so they get paid more than the counselors as well. But when we're setting salaries for any position in town, you know, it affects everything, and we have to balance everything. Not only all the positions in the town, but how it affects the budget, how it affects the operations of the pools, and the members we serve. They're the ones subsidizing and paying for the service. They're the ones paying through their memberships, paying these kids' salaries. So if anybody's subsidizing anything, it's the members that join the pool. They're subsidizing. The people that are hired are not subsidizing anything.
As long as you can pay a fair wage, and that's where this gentleman said, you feel it's a fair wage, and I understand that, I get that, and it wasn't meant to be an attack against the town.
Oh, no,
but
I
at the
didn't
same
think
time,
it's
I welcome, you have my name.
No, we're
If
gonna
you want to-
we're gonna look up the information.
Yeah,
and
you can
we'll
look up
talk about
my
it.
daughters,
Yeah.
you know, because it's been 4 years. I don't look at her paychecks,
Right.
and so I could be totally wrong. But from my conversation with her, it is below minimum wage. She is WSI, and she is 4 years, and she's still below now. And, I just
Well,
find
we'll
that
look at it.
surprising.
I don't have them in front of me, but like I said, I know they've been raised very nicely over the last few years. You're absolutely right. We did not keep pace with the increases in the minimum wage, but we did raise them each year, plus the raise that they get, and because we need WSIs, we gave them a bigger raise than the standard lifeguard. The other thing that we do is we offer lifeguard training. You're right, you have to pay for your training, and we have to pay people to provide the training, and it isn't cheap. However, for the town, it is exponentially less expensive than if you go anywhere else to receive that training. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
But lifeguard training, WSI training, Dan, you know, you've been involved with it, Matt's hundreds of dollars. I mean, what we charge, you know, we're passing along an expense, but what we charge is far below where they can get that training anywhere else. And I can name the limited places they could get that training, but you know, I'm not here to say anybody's charging too much. They charge what they charge. But I can tell you, we save the kids a lot of money by offering those classes in-house. Just like we offer to learn the swim lessons in-house. We just had 400 kids sign up this weekend. So, yeah, when it rains, it stinks for everybody. You're right. The members that paid the money don't want to go to the pool. We don't open the pool if it's like an afternoon like this afternoon. The old saying in baseball, nobody wins when it rains, right? And so I feel bad that they lose hours because of that. But I can't, you know, we can't have lifeguards just sitting around the pools while it's raining either. So we, you know, provide as many opportunities as we can. We should have some, you know, there's additional opportunities for WSIs with these Learn to Swim programs. So if the kids are willing to take on some additional training and responsibility, there are ways for them to get extra hours. So we try to provide as many programs as possible and as many hours to these kids as possible while increasing their salary rates each year. And I just think based on what we offer as far as training and these programs and the current salaries, especially when you look historically to what these kids were making for doing the same job just 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago, the difference. Yeah, I think it's fair.
Well,
I mean, if they're looking to make $15 an hour, working for the town during the summer for a couple of months is not the job.
then there may be a greater diversity over the past few years than I realized. I just don't think it's there. But that's fine. And I do appreciate what the town offers to the citizens and to give our kids a chance to like our food. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Just asking you to look at it and see, you know, and just ask you what you think is in the right interest of everybody. For those who are...
Well, we put a lot of time and effort, Dan and Matt and Board can attest, we put a lot of time and effort in assessing the entire situation and what is the right level for these salaries. And based on the large response that we continue to get, and the increased response for WSIs with that additional raise that we gave them, that tells me in the real world, in reality, that we're not perfect, we're close. Because I deal in reality, not with somebody in Washington or Albany, you know, says it's suddenly an artificial number pulled out of the sky. It really has no basis in the real world.
And I argue the minimum wage thing because I know everybody has an opinion on that. You know, unfortunately, as a business owner myself, I don't get that opportunity to own that.
Yeah. Well, we're
just
kind of
worse
business
than honest. I'm an IT firm.
Oh.
So
Do you pay minimum wage?
No. They pay far more than that to these people on. No. So it doesn't affect me personally, but I do know that it affects many companies. And, it wasn't to attack the town as to not paying minimum wage. It was more to address the question about finance. So.
Yeah. No, you know, we're happy to hire, you know, as many kids as we do. But, you know, they're getting an opportunity. They're not subsidized.
Okay, and I will retract my statement about subsidizing.
And I really hope, and
that's
I think
not
it's,
the point that I was trying to
and I think it's true, based on you know, the feedback I get. And again, going back to the real world, I see these kids coming back every year for years until they finally, you know, figure out, boy, I better go get that internship, or I gotta get a job. I'm out of college now, maybe just graduated or out for a year or two. They really hate to leave.
Well, my daughter's in the same
They love
just that.
They love the job.
She's in college, trying to pay for college, and she's like,
She's not going to pay for college on being a lifeguard for Clifton Park or something. That's not going to happen.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's why, you know, she's just looking and saying, well, geez, you know, I've been here 4 years, and do I just leave and go work somewhere else so I can get minimum wage, or do I stick around? And so, you know, her mentality is I gotta make some money to pay some of this. And so it's tough because she was quite faithful to the town and everything. And bureaucracy up in, you know, the capital there messes it all up for everybody because now she's like, well, what do I do?
Well, no, I think, well, what I would tell her is she's had a great job for a few years. She's learned a tremendous amount. She's built a resume. She's had a nice job close to home, I imagine. She's received a nice increase from where she was 4 years ago. I can assure you of that. She's making much more money from doing the same job than she was 4 years ago. And she's learned responsibility and built a resume. And that's what I would tell her. I say you've had a valuable 4 years. If she chooses to do something else, we wish her well. If she'd like to come back next year, I'd love to have her. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's 8:45.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Council Miller, yes.
Yes.
Council Rowland,
Yes, thank you.